You want to see something crazy? So this is rapper Max B. He was in jail for 16 years until this past Sunday. He was released in the morning, and he went to the only place that might be worse than jail as his first stop out, the New York Jets sideline. Most of you know that I am a New York Jets fan. I have been my whole life, and because you guys seem to really enjoy me doing this kind of unscripted vent yap session about sports things on my mind recently, how about we give that a shot with the topic I can probably yap the longest and the hardest about. New York Jets football, baby. I remember before the season that I told most of my Steeler fan friends, like Wardy, Chiseled Adonis, Urinating Tree, those guys, that it would be a successful Jets season for me if they beat the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers and lost the rest of the games. And that was for two reasons. One, I expected them to just be, like, regular bad this year, and two, they needed some kind of catharsis against Aaron Rodgers to prove that misery doesn't just happen to us.
I was happy to beat everybody associated with the Jets.
That, like, this weird feeling of constant pain and underachievement isn't exclusive to me. But no, misery loves me, as Fall Out Boy said back in the day. This sucks, the team sucks, and they might be the most dysfunctional they've ever been. So that's this edition of my annual Jets catharsis, is, oh my god, they might be the biggest mess I've ever seen them be, and that's saying something. Even coming off 2 straight wins, that doesn't even change the narrative that I think they're maybe the most chaotic and circus-like they've ever been. You know, those 2 wins that raised their record from 0-7 to 2-7. So why am I calling them a circus? Gee, the owner is ripping the quarterback for being bad publicly. The quarterback is bad. He had 5 yards at the half in the last game, a game they somehow managed to win because of a 42-yard touchdown pass behind the line of scrimmage to Breece Hall. Breece Hall, who doesn't even want to be here and says he's sickened that he didn't get traded. This starting running back is happy for the guys who got traded. I've never seen that before. That same Breece Hall, who was quoted as saying something to the effect of, "Teams shoot themselves in the foot, we shoot ourselves in the head." He plays for a coach who frequently bickers with reporters over who the starting quarterback should be and tries to play this coy game of, why would I tell you who the quarterback's going to be? Every week.
Are you able to tell us who's going to... Can you tell
I cannot tell you that.
But is it because you don't want to or because...
That's exactly it.
But with Tyrod's situation, the question wasn't that play into this potentially?
That's exactly why I'm not telling you. Because I don't want to.
No, but I understand that, but I mean, is it partly because of the injury?
That's exactly why I'm saying it, because I don't want to.
Listening to you two babble on and on and on nearly drove me to madness.
He says things like, why are you even asking me if there's going to be a quarterback change, then makes a quarterback change at halftime the next week. Described the play on the field once as, we're killing ourselves. But everything's okay. Owner Woody Johnson says he hugs Aaron Glenn and tells him he believes in him all the time. Can you guys, do that for me, please?
Yes, I suppose that is rather sad, but
Aaron Glenn
can hug himself during his break.
Everyone finally seems to be catching on that there is one constant to the New York Jets' failures over the years, and that is this guy, owner Woody Johnson, who I kind of pinned a lot of the problems on in my Jets exorcism video last year. Because through all the player changes, the coaching changes, the everything changes, they're still bad under his watch. And he has finally admitted that he may not be very good at this whole owning a football team thing, which saying that out loud is crazy. I don't know if it's good crazy or bad crazy, it just is crazy.
What? I love garbage.
It's also crazy that when your team is so bad that they haven't made the playoffs since I was in 6th grade and I've voted in 2 presidential elections now, that, there's no consequence for that. Let me put it like this. I run and own the Stark Raving sports business. If we stop performing, I don't get to eat food anymore. When the Jets stop performing and stab me in the heart with a spear every Sunday, Woody Johnson gets to just raise ticket prices on the fan base. They kind of try to retroactively make things less bad.
It doesn't matter. We're still 0-0, and let's go become 1-0, and I think that's our mindset every week.
Brother man, you were 0-6 when you gave this quote.
Offense went down there. They got 3 points. Defense
They did drive, but, we were very competitive. There was good plays. There's plays obviously we got to fix, but, we held them to like 3, I'm pretty sure, that first drive.
Brother, you lost a lot. Why are we saying this is the best loss ever? Do you realize how sad that is? See, I'm being very careful with my words here on purpose. I don't think this is the worst Jets team they've ever had on the field. I think it has gotten worse than this. But mix bad team with bad offense and pretty bad defense and special teams that has kind of been a revolving door of disaster. Combine all that with players' relationships eroding with, the circumstances and the team itself, and this was supposed to be a year of nothing. Like, they brought Aaron Glenn in to kind of just right the ship a little bit from a PR perspective. At least that's what I think. They wanted to be quietly bad and starting all this over. No, they're still bringing attention to themselves every single day for how much of a mess everything is. And the trade deadline, even though it was a really good haul for the Jets, kind of solidified that. Sauce Gardner was extended to a 4-year deal in July. He's traded in November. Sure, really good return. But think about the message that sends. You believe in your star enough to lock him up and pay him, and a few weeks into year 1 of the extension, it's like, yeah, you know what, we don't really want to deal with this anymore. Why will guys ever sign extensions here ever again if it's like that? Thank God for Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is like the one guy in the universe who has been above the Jets' levels of dysfunction the last few years. He still goes out, does his thing, when the quarterback can get him the ball. Quinnen Williams was also traded because his relationship with the Jets also eroded. For a guy who was a huge staple of your defense since 2019, having it all fall apart and have him traded to Dallas isn't a good look either. Again, credit where credit's due, they got really good draft capital back for these players. But when the narratives come out that the guys simply didn't want to be here, that kind of hurts the image a little bit, and it makes the trades look less good. I don't know what else to say. By the way, your starting running back, who was in trade rumors all year, basically openly doesn't want to be a Jet anymore, and you don't trade him. There were mixed reports on if it was going to happen. You don't actually trade him. He does win you the game on Sunday, and people complain about it because it's now tank ruining. There's never any happiness and fun around here. People get mad at winning because they don't get higher draft position to draft a quarterback, even though we do this every single time. They never fix it. They always go through this cycle of, sure, maybe they'll have a great draft, and they're still terrible. All the time. That's why I think it's a circus.
The pass play is not there, so he takes off and fumbles the football. It is recovered by Buffalo.
I want the pain to be over.
And at what point do we start blaming ourselves? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why do we still buy tickets and buy jerseys and support this? Even, I mentioned earlier, they're raising ticket prices during all this. It's getting more expensive to watch all of this. Maybe we're the suckers. Maybe the people in green jerseys going to the games, doing all this. How have we not realized that it's always going to be like this? Especially under the watch of the person it has really always been like this under. I don't get it. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I'm blaming myself, the Jets, the ownership, anything. Something is wrong here. I don't know why I still fall for it. Really, I don't. This is crazy. It's killing my brain. Oh my goodness, I have not been to MetLife in over 10 years, I've just realized, and I don't regret a second of that. I did make the mistake this year of going to the game in Miami. What was this?
Pressure shown and brought. Fields retreats, and he'll be set. The ball is out.
And that, and oh my god, they have not won in Miami since 2014. Why do I still go to the games? I might be the problem. You know how bad it was when the owner was complaining about quarterback play? He went on the record to say, if we could just complete a pass, things would be good. Something to that effect. The owner of the team is saying that! Also, one more piece of giving flowers where they're due. Not having the Gardner trade go through until after Nick Mangold's funeral so that Jets personnel wouldn't have their phones ringing nonstop during Nick Mangold's funeral is a really good move. I really respect Darren Muji for that, and shout out to Colts GM Chris Ballard for being a part of it as well. And also, rest in paradise, Nick Mangold. It's different from these other bad teams, like the Titans and the Saints, who are just regular bad. They go out and they get their faces throttled every game, and that's the end of it. The Jets go out there, they lose. They don't really even kind of compete in most of the games. They just kind of are on the field as football is happening, not really contributing much to the football game. And then there's weird narratives that are pretty self-inflicted for the rest of the week before and after the game, usually having to do with complaining and dysfunction. Hold on, you want to see something? I bought this hat within the last year. They've still been crazy, and I'm spending money on Jets things. Why am I doing this to myself? Can you guys please help me? Why are we doing this? Why are we celebrating misery all the time? Oh, and Sam Darnold is like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL now. So if Sam Darnold and Geno Smith both go to Seattle and figure it out and save their careers and play genuinely good football, does Woody Johnson not look at himself and say, why do we have an environment where all these quarterbacks are bad? Justin Fields was bad here, Sam Darnold. Aaron Rodgers isn't even playing all that well with the Jets. You know, that guy who came back and torched you the first week of the season. You didn't look and say, why couldn't you have done that here? Sustainably? Sure, Aaron Rodgers played fine, but he didn't play like Aaron Rodgers. I don't really want to hear the H card. He still has the talent in him. It's a systemic problem that you can't have quarterbacks come in, and the constant is the one guy who runs the ship to have that happen. Good on you saying you're not a good owner. Look at all this. It's really hard to form rational thoughts on this. They get ripped by everyone now, deservedly so. The common theme is basically everything is bad. So if everything is bad, how do you pick it apart? Realistically, you're gonna miss something. You're gonna have a different take on it. I don't really know how to do this, and I watch most of the games. Actually, that's not true. I'm trying not to watch all the games anymore, because it's kind of like sitting there watching paint dry if watching paint dry made you hate yourself. I watched the London game this year at 9:30 in the morning, where Garrett Wilson is screaming at Aaron Glenn because they don't know how to get a playoff before the half.
Neither team's calling timeout.
Come on.
That's not the first time they've done that against the Broncos in the last 2 or 3 years.
Is he going to spike it in time? I don't think he did. Not enough urgency by the Jets after that catch.
Watch the Jets attempt to do football during the football game. They don't really play the same sport as everybody else. It's like watching the Washington Generals. Oh my god, look, we blocked a field goal to take the lead. Nope, they're not going to win. They're the Jets. They're playing an actual good team. I almost went to this game. Could you imagine me walking out of the stadium sulking after that? The false hope that the Jets would have given me for like the 50-umpteenth time. And yay, you got a win this past game because the Cleveland Browns had a neutral zone infraction on 4th and 5 against you, and you're going to punt it to them before they could have went down the field and tied or won the game.
Don't tell me. They got him.
Are you kidding?
Unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
Thanks, Cleveland Browns, for, existing and taking some of the spotlight off the Jets, even though you've had good teams and went to the playoffs a lot more recently than we have. I guess I'll end this with a bit of a cry for help. What do I do as a Jets fan? I don't really know anymore. I can't just give up. It's not in me to give up. I'm also a Mets fan. This is just part of who I am, I guess. I don't really know. I'm the most lost I've ever been in Jets fandom. I'll figure it out, though. Everything usually tends to work itself out, except for the Jets.
The Jets have been having a little bit of a hard time. Woody's a great guy.